Good morning. Welcome to the John DeVito Show. It is Saturday morning. Surprise, it's me. I was supposed to be on yesterday, but work got in the way. So here I am on Saturday morning to talk about some news headlines, what's going on around the world, and all that good stuff. LRB 26, welcome to the show. So make sure you all hang around. It's going to be a good show today. We're going to go at it, get a bunch of things I want to talk about, and we're going to go at it today. I've kind of had like 3 cups of coffee already today. So I'm kind of ready to rip it today. So welcome to the show. We'll get going very soon. All right. Take care. And thanks for coming by. And we'll get going in about 30 seconds. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a special Saturday morning edition of the John DeVito Show. I was up early today because I had to bring my boys for their Saturday morning baseball training. So I took the drive into Worcester, Massachusetts, and just returned back, and I have to pick them up at 11 o'clock. So I figured I'd do a podcast in between. Woody Bush, welcome to the show. So anyway, things are going well here in Massachusetts. It's getting a little bit colder. It's, I think, maybe in the 50s right now. And the seasons are about to change here by some of the things that I'm doing. Yesterday, we had the cover put on our pool, which sucks. I hate that day. And then also, I bought a snowblower. So we're getting close to the cold and the shit and the crappy weather here in Massachusetts, and it is coming. Now, a lot of things going on in the world right now. I'm going to read through some news, read through some things that I've been kind of checking out and some things I'm worried about. And we'll just kind of see where we go from there. But one of the things that's kind of driving me crazy right now, like you all know how I feel about us being in this pandemic. Vinny, welcome to the show. We're in the middle of this pandemic. I mean, this thing is like never ending. It's been going on forever and ever and ever. Eddie Watkins, welcome to the show. And if you're new here, please follow me and share my live. We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff today. First time here, give me a few minutes because I think we generally have a pretty high octane show. And whoa, welcome to the show. So anyway, got a lot of stuff going on here in Massachusetts. A lot of things going on in the world. I'm still very angry that we have seen, Joe Biden get up and lecture the entire country, lecture the American people about how he's running out of patience with all of us because we haven't gotten the vaccines. Well, judging by the poll numbers, Mr. Biden, it seems like a lot of Americans are running out of patience with you. Of course, you were supposed to get 84 million votes. Yeah, thank you, Vinny. I appreciate that. And I hope you're doing well also. But supposedly you got 84, million votes, and you had the most votes in American history. Well, we're going to find out if there is any proof on September 24th of election fraud. So we'll see what comes out. They're due to release the results of the Arizona audit on September 24th. We've all been waiting. We've all been waiting about this audit to see if really it is, it has any truth to it. The one thing I will say about the Arizona audit, I know that people on the left feel that the Republicans are crazy, that, we're a bunch of hillbillies, holding the flag up, rednecks, whatever. And they don't feel that there's any truth whatsoever to the audit. Now, one of the things that I can't understand is, and I've talked about this before, we've got the left, we've got the right. Now, the left felt that Donald Trump had cheated in the last election. They felt that he had cheated Hillary Clinton out of that election. Now, the right feels that the left has cheated. They feel that Joe Biden and their party has cheated Donald Trump out of the election. So I guess my question is, if there's any question of fraud, if there's any question of cheating in the American elections, then why aren't we pushing to have it investigated? When I have seen, news outlets talk about the Arizona forensic audit, I have never seen an attempt to discredit something so much before the audit was even released. I mean, literally every mainstream media organization is out there refuting the audit, saying it's a joke, saying it's ridiculous, saying it's Republican led, saying it's a smear, campaign. And again, we haven't even seen the results of the audit yet. Now, on September 24th, Arizona is finally going to release their results of the Arizona audit, the forensic audit, and it, should hopefully show that there was some evidence in this election of fraud. Now, if it doesn't show fraud, and if this report is ridiculous and it doesn't show that Biden cheated, then honestly, maybe it's time for the Republican Party to start moving on. But let me read this quick report about what's happening this upcoming week, and then we'll move on to the next story. And just keep in mind, everybody, if you're coming into the show, I can't see you right now. I'm on a different page. I'll pop back in and read your comments in a couple of minutes. So bear with me, okay? So the long delayed report about the partisan review of ballots cast in Maricopa County, Arizona during the 2020 election will be made public at a hearing scheduled for Friday, September 24th, according to a spokeswoman for the Arizona Senate Republicans who have ordered the review. Now, apparently there's also a review going on in Michigan as well, but the report will be presented on the Senate floor and will be open to the media. Although Arizona's election results were already certified 6 months ago, the Republican-controlled state Senate in Arizona undertook a full hand recount and review of the ballots and voting machines in Maricopa County, the state's largest county. By subpoena, the state Senate took possession of 2.1 million ballots in nearly 400 election machines and turned them over to be audited by companies that include one whose CEO promoted debunked election fraud theories after the election. The majority Republican County Board of Supervisors vehemently objected to the action and pointed to the multiple audits of ballots and machines that Arizona had already completed that found no issues. So if you see right there, every news report that you read, and everybody, welcome to the show. I'm back, Going Ghost, JDH, PBG, welcome for coming in. So if you look at everything that has been put out there by the media, they're all debunking this audit. They're all saying that the audit is partisan, it's garbage. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it is. But the bottom line is, if there's any chance of fraud in the election process in this country, in my opinion, it needs to be investigated, whether it was perpetrated by the Democrats, whether it was perpetrated by the Republicans. I mean, we supposedly live in this free society. And if we really want to be a free society and we want to be considered a free society, don't we have to basically check to make sure that our processes are working and we're actually having a credible election? Because if we're not, and we're just having a president that's appointed, we're no different than China. We're no different than Cuba. We are no different than a dictatorship that you find in other parts of the world, but we're being sold a bill of goods that we're actually free. So for me, whoever's cheating, left, right, middle, I don't care who it is, we need to find out if there has been cheating in the election. And if there has been, whether it be by the Democrats, the Republicans, or whoever it may be, we need to make sure we resolve this issue. And I appreciate that, Vinny. Vinny made a comment in the chat. He says he hopes the soul of America is healed soon, and he hopes everything gets better and all right soon. Vinny, I'll tell you, I agree with you 100%, but I am afraid. Now, I'm an older guy. You look like, I see your picture, you're a younger guy. I'm 53 years old. I've lived in this country my entire life. And I do not remember a time in this country's history where we have been so separate, where we have been so divided, where we have been so against each other in every possible way. And for me, I believe this is a direct plan of the mainstream media, the politicians, and the super ultra wealthy in this country to divide and conquer the American people. Again, we are easy to conquer if we're divided. If we're fighting black versus white, gay versus straight, if we're fighting Democrat versus Republican, pro-abortion, anti-abortion, pro-death penalty, anti-death penalty, it's almost like the government serves up these little things for us to argue about, or these topics for us to disagree on. And when they have us disagreeing, when they have us in the middle of fighting about all these different things, that's when they are stealing our money, stealing our tax money, making deals with China, doing different things that are hurting the American people. So unfortunately, I think we're seeing a time in society when we are being divided, we are being successfully conquered by our U.S. government. And until we find a way to pull together as one, until we find a way to get along and work together, nothing in this country is ever going to change. So unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. And I do agree, the soul of America is hurting, and the soul of America needs to recoup itself, or very similar to the Roman Empire, America is not going to survive. America is not going to survive. I have never seen a time in this country where it's as bad as it is right now. And, maybe it's because the American people are waking up and finally realizing that for many decades, we've been sold a bill of goods. We've been sold the idea of freedom when maybe we really don't have freedom. And that still reminds me, I was back traveling in Germany probably 15 years ago. And I remember meeting some guys from Russia at a bar. We had a great time, hung out, drank beers with them, good guys. And I remember they made that comment to me like 15 years ago, where they kind of laughed at me when I was talking about, what's it like to live in Russia? You have government control. And I remember one of the guys laughed at me. And I mean, he was laughing with me. He was a good guy. He wasn't being a dick. But he laughed at me and goes, "What do you think you have in America? Do you think you're free there?" He goes, "We look at the United States. You're no more free than we are." And I will never forget that comment, because I think it was the first time I started to realize, okay, maybe everything we've been sold isn't true here in the US, So who knows what's going on? So anyway, the Arizona audit will be released on the 24th, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if there's any truth to it. We'll see if if it's bullshit. We'll see if it's just a bunch of right-wing propaganda. I have no idea. So listen, I want to move on to a couple other stories. One that's really, really bothering me. I got to find a good story to read off here. But has anyone been following the case of the missing girl, Gabby, and I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. I think it's Petito, Gabby Petito. I'm not sure if anyone's been following this, but this is a terrible story. This young woman, Gabby Petito, was traveling, I guess, cross country with her fiance, and all of a sudden she vanished. She's missing. Her fiance came back home, and he is now in hiding also. The media has been at his house. So apparently, Gabby Petito was in a Utah hotel. That was the last time she's been seen publicly, and she was basically two blocks from an FBI field office. So the police, this girl's gone missing. No one knows where she is. Her family is pleading for her return. The fiance is not talking. And the thing that was the creepiest thing out of this whole case, I'm not sure if anybody saw this on the news, but maybe I think it was like a month or two leading up to her disappearance. The couple got into a huge fight in their car. They pulled over on the side of the highway someplace, and they were fighting and yelling and screaming. And the police finally showed up at the location. And I think the officer must have had a body cam on. So he was recording this entire exchange. So the exchange was, pretty bad. I mean, the girl was in the car crying. Gabby was crying. She had tears running down her face. She was explaining that they were fighting. And then the police pulled her out of the car, and they pulled her fiance out of the car, and they separated the two of them. So they were interviewing the two of them, and they were both trying to play it down a little bit. And who knows? I mean, it could have been one of those things where a couple gets into a fight. I've been married for 20 years. Believe me, we've had some good arguments over the years, and we're not, going to kill each other. But she was crying, he was crying, and he literally even had scratches on his face. Apparently, they had gotten physical in the car with each other, and the police weren't sure exactly what happened. But the bottom line is, this poor young woman is now missing, and we don't know where she is. So for anybody out there, if anyone knows this Gabby Petito, and if they know the person who is her fiance, his name is Brian Laundrie, I believe. I mean, reach out to the police if you know anything. I don't know if Gabby Petito is in hiding. I mean, of course, my hope is that she's okay, she's alive, and she is going to be found okay. I mean, I'm not sure what this situation is, but to me, when someone's missing, when a woman's missing, it always goes directly back to the boyfriend, the fiance, or the husband first. And again, she was traveling cross country with this guy. She disappeared. She can't be found, and he returned home without her. So, I mean, these are one of those stories. I look at this young woman, a beautiful young woman, blonde hair, blue eyes, and the kid too looks like a good kid. They look like a good young couple, but you never know what's happening in a relationship. You never know the secrets that people carry in their relationships. So I guess I would just like to pray for Gabby, for the return of Gabby, and also, find out what's going on. I mean, hopefully she's okay. And I'm going to click on this article. I want to read this a little bit because it says here, there's a big article, Missing Gabby's Livid Family Slams Fiance as his parents admit he vanished days ago. So let me read this story really quickly. And keep in mind, again, if you're in the chat right now, I can't see your comments. I will be back in there in a minute. I'm on the news page right now. Okay. So here we go. The family of missing woman Gabby Petito responded Friday night after news emerged that the Florida family of her fiance, Brian Laundrie, claimed that they haven't seen him since Tuesday. All of Gabby's family want the world to know that Brian is not missing. He is hiding. Why is he hiding? That's my question. Why is he hiding? So Gabby is missing. The law office of Robert Stafford, attorney for the Petito and Schmidt families, said in a statement. So let me scroll down here. Gotta get to the story. Police in Northport, about 85 miles south of Tampa, stressed late Friday that Laundrie was not considered a suspect in Gabby Petito's disappearance. It's important to note that while Brian is a person of interest in Gabby's disappearance, he is not wanted for a crime. We are not currently working on a crime investigation. We are now working on multiple missing persons investigation. I mean, to me, when I read that, that sounds like, they maybe have him as a suspect, but they don't have any evidence yet. They don't have enough evidence to bring him in. I mean, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's incorrect. Maybe she disappeared. Maybe he's innocent. But it just seems like, a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire. And it seems like this gentleman is hiding something. And if he wasn't, I mean, again, if I'm Brian and my girlfriend is missing, my fiance is missing, this is the love of my life. I mean, I am talking to police. I am telling them everything I know. I am searching for her. I am not hiding from the media. So for me, it just seems very suspicious that this person is not out in the forefront helping the police in every way that he can. If she is in fact still missing, if she is in fact still out there, he wants to get back with her. He wants to find the love of his life and marry her. Why isn't he helping? Why isn't he speaking to police and helping the investigation? I mean, to me, it just doesn't make sense. So Laundrie's family made their disclosure early Friday about Brian being away from home after officers came by the house where he lives with his parents expecting to speak with him. So they don't know he left. They didn't know he took off. So Laundrie has been lying low there since September 1st, police believed. Investigators are now searching for him too. So we understand the community's frustration, said the police. We're frustrated too, the release said. For 6 days, the Northport Police Department and FBI have been pleading with the family to contact investigators regarding Brian's fiance, Gabby Petito, who is missing. Friday was the first time the family had spoken with investigators in detail, the release said. Petito's stepfather, Jim Schmidt, said during a televised interview that he learned of Laundrie's parents' claim about Brian being missing during a televised interview. It's the first time we're hearing it, he told CNN on Friday night. I am very caught off guard about hearing what we had just heard. Petito's mother reported her missing on September 11th to police in New York's Suffolk County. The couple had embarked on a cross-country trip in Petito's 2012 Ford Transit van at the start of the summer. Both of them documented their journey on Instagram, stopping in several national parks out west. Petito's family last spoke with her on around August 24th to 25th via FaceTime, according to authorities, when she was believed to be in the Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. A week before that, the couple had traveled all throughout Utah. So Laundrie drove the van back to Florida on September 1st alone, police said. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm back in the live now, so I'm back in the chat. I can see everybody coming in. Sally, PBG, welcome. Good to see you, Vinny. That's a good question, Vinny. I see your comment there that you're seeing the girl. You're hoping the girl is found soon. I am as well. Was there any CCTV that would be closed caption TV? I mean, you would think, right? You would think that there would be something, and I would imagine that the police are probably investigating pretty thoroughly. I mean, if they knew where she traveled, if they knew what hotel she was in, I mean, there's got to be cameras everywhere. I mean, that's one of the good things about today with all the surveillance that we have is there are cameras everywhere. So hopefully they find her on video and maybe somehow find out what happened to this poor, beautiful young woman. Now, for anybody that's new here, if you could, please follow me. Please share my live. I would greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate each and every one of you coming in today. This is not normally my time. I'm usually on during the week, but I felt like doing a morning show today. So, but for me, just to talk a little bit more about this case, this young woman, she's beautiful, intelligent woman. They went cross country and they were having a trip together. There was a documented video of them getting into a pretty serious fight along the road where they got physical with each other. He had scratches on his face. She got out and saying that she was saying that she had OCD and had all these problems and was apologizing to him. So it seems like they were in kind of a turbulent relationship. But the thing I can't get past is, okay, he is in Utah or wherever he is. He is driving her van. He is with his fiance. And what does he do when she disappears? He drives home to Florida in her van. I mean, I'm thinking of what I would do if I were in that situation. If I'm traveling cross country with my fiance, I would be in Utah. If she disappeared, I would be in the local police station. I'd be calling the local police. I would be searching for her. I would be putting up flyers. I would be calling my parents. I would be calling her parents. Have you heard from Gabby? Where is she? I'm in Utah with her. I can't find her. And I certainly would not be driving home quietly to Florida and just leaving my missing fiance alone to fend for herself if she had in fact been abducted. So to me, this story stinks to all high hell. But the bottom line is, you don't really know what happened until the story is told. So I'm going to say a prayer for Gabby. I hope her family finds her. I hope that they can, find her hopefully alive and well. But there have been so many cases that have been like this over the years. I've done some true crime podcasts. I did one on Molly Bish in Massachusetts, another one in Holly Peranian, and then another one on the murders that happened in the Midwest. And unfortunately, a lot of times stories like this, the girl ends up being found not alive. I'm hoping that's not the case here. And if so, a lot of times, again, it's the boyfriend, fiance, or husband that has unfortunately, ended that person's life. So I'm hoping that's not the case. Let's all hope for the best. Let's pray for Gabby. And just, if you haven't watched this story, make sure you follow up, make sure you take a look, and make sure you are, up to speed in case, something comes about, because it's a very important story. And we see this far too often. All right, moving back to the political spectrum a little bit. You know how I feel about the Democrats now. As you can see right now, the Joe Biden administration is going after capitalism. There's no doubt about that. Now, for me, I'm an American
Get powerful
citizen. I am a
protection from Wi-Fi
capitalist.
network
I
threats with
believe that
X5 Advanced
capitalism
Security.
is what
Can
makes
your
this
internet
country
do
great.
that?
Now,
Stay safe
are
online
there
with Advanced
problems with
Security. For a limited
capitalism?
time, ask to be
Absolutely. You've got
qualified for
guys
free
like
internet
Jeff
service. Go to
Bezos. You've got like guys like Bill
xfinity.com/APT
Gates.
to call or
You've
visit
got
store today.
guys that make a lot of money. I mean, billions and billions of dollars, while
All
you have a
right,
lot of the
we've
American
been talking a
workers
lot
not
about
making enough
the
money.
limit right
But
now on the state local
obviously, you've
tax
got Biden and
write-offs,
Pelosi and the
and
whole
whether
Democratic Party, in
that
my
is the
opinion,
way they're
are
going to try, at least
participating in what
Democrats
we
will
all
try
know is this new
to
global, great
winnow
wide,
a couple
the
of
Great
dozen
Reset.
moderate
Now,
Democrats who will put that
Pelosi
in there,
is
or
talking
they
about
can't see.
capitalism,
They won't
and
vote for
she's
this. Thanks,
she's saying that
Bettenberger. I'm following it very, very closely
capitalism
now
hasn't
on
served the
Capitol Hill.
U.S.
Chat with me,
economy
Aaron.
as well as it should.
Good
So
afternoon, Neil. Well,
Pelosi
securing
is
the
now not
votes
even
of
hiding it.
Democrats from high-tax
Pelosi,
states like New
Biden,
York,
and
New
the
Jersey, and
Democratic Party
California
are
may
going
come
after
down to
capitalism.
SALT.
And if they're
Not this, of
attacking
course,
capitalism,
but whether or
then
not
basically the
Congress
only
will
assumption you
eventually
can
add
make
to the
is they're
bill a
looking to
provision to
move towards
restore
socialism and
deductions for state
communism.
and local
And I think
taxes,
if you
or
look at all the different
SALT.
deals that Biden's made with China, I think we're in trouble in this country. I think that we are really in trouble. And I don't know if people realize, but we are losing our freedoms on a daily basis here in this country. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that are afraid of COVID-19. I know there are a lot of people out there that believe that wearing a mask is going to protect you from COVID-19. And again, I'm not one to
Congress
tell
removed the
anybody that you
deduction in the
should wear a mask or you
2017
shouldn't wear
tax
a
cut
mask.
law. A
I
new
do
SALT
believe it should
deduction
be a
is not
personal
in the
choice,
bill
just
now.
as the vaccine
New
should.
York Democrat
But
Tom
I think what
Suozzi
we're
is
seeing on a
peppering the
daily
leadership
basis
to
is with
flavor
all
the
these
bill with the
mandates,
SALT
the
reduction.
upcoming vaccine
He could
mandate, the
vote
upcoming
no if the
mask
deduction
mandates
is
that are
not
becoming more and
addressed.
more prevalent
There is
across the
also
country,
concern
we
about
are
new
now
taxes
seeing
hitting
a
lower
loss of
income
our personal
Americans,
freedoms. We're
especially
seeing
taxes
a loss
on nicotine.
of our freedom of speech.
The
We're seeing a
eagerness
loss
to
in the
raise
Second Amendment, where the
taxes
government is trying to take away
is
our rights to own
abundantly clear.
firearms.
I
And I
just
know that a lot of
urge
people out there don't believe in guns. I get
extreme
it. I don't
caution
love
in
guns either.
terms
I
of
mean, when you
doing
see a kid
something
walk into a school
that
and
will
open fire on
likely
his
trigger
classmates, it's heartbreaking and
problems in
it's
the
awful.
economy.
But the one thing people have to
The
realize is the
consternation over
Second
tobacco
Amendment in our
taxes
Constitution
is
was
not
not
just from the
created for
GOP, but
people to go
some House
hunting. That's one
Democrats.
thing that Biden
They
loves to say.
worry this
You
has
don't
an
need an
outsized
AR-15 to go
impact on
hunting.
those who
The
smoke
Second
or
Amendment
are
isn't
lower
about hunting.
income.
The Second
Democrats
Amendment is
need
to
the
make
revenue from
sure
SALT
that
and
the American
tobacco
people
to
can
foot the
defend
cost
itself
of
against
the
the
bill.
tyrannical
Neil.
government. And that is what we
Are you
faced
thinking
when
if it was
England
salt and
at the
pepper, I
time
guess you
was
could have
controlling
brought
us. They were
peppers right
taxing
to
us.
it as well.
We had to
That
fight
salt
for our
thing,
freedom from
it
England.
actually
So the
makes it
founding
very clear,
fathers
very, very
created that
simple. Thank you,
constitution
my
to make
friend.
sure that the government could not
Easy now.
infringe on our
Listen,
Second
Pete
Amendment rights,
he
because
knows the
we
stuff
need to
inside and
have
out.
the ability to defend ourselves from a government that has gone wrong. So you see this new Democratic Party, and I really believe that Pelosi's behind a lot of this. I believe that Obama's behind a lot of this. I believe that Biden, if he has his faculties amongst him, is behind this as well. But here you've got Nancy Pelosi called Friday for public officials to pursue improvements in the traditional capitalism, arguing that the U.S. economic system has led to widespread inequality. Now, let's talk about that. I'm going to get away from this story and come back to my page so I can see all of you in the chat. Now, if you think about this now, so Nancy Pelosi is blaming capitalism on basically inequality in our economy. Okay, let's break that down for a second. Lil, welcome to the show. So capitalism is why there's inequality in this country. All right. So what does capitalism do? All right. Capitalism is the ability to come into this country, right? Get your education, work hard, and make a lot of money, right? And okay, you know, that's not perfect for everybody. Now, it really isn't. And there are issues with capitalism. I will admit that up front. But it does give you the opportunity to come into this country and make money and better your life. Now, there are companies out there where you have CEOs that take advantage of the system. And I do believe that should be regulated to a point where people that work for companies should actually have a livable minimum wage. I do like that idea. And I know that that might hurt companies in some ways. But one of the positive things I've seen so far in the Biden administration, and there haven't been many, is I do see the minimum wages going up. I see people who maybe don't have their educations, people who maybe are, have some type of limitation, intellectually or physically, they're able to get a job now and make a decent living wage. One of the things we've seen over the last couple of decades is the middle class has all been evaporated, right? But capitalism does provide an opportunity for people to make money. And if you're willing to get your education, go to school and work hard, or in some cases just work hard and start your own business, and you can provide jobs for others, you can make money for your family, help others make money for their family. One of the systematic problems that we've seen over the last 30 years in this country, and it started under Bill Clinton, was the NAFTA deal. When Bill Clinton struck the NAFTA deal with our country, basically at that point, we started sending all of our manufacturing jobs overseas. So we took our manufacturing jobs and they were all sent to China. Jamin, welcome to the show. If you guys are new, please follow me and please share my live. If you haven't done it yet, I would greatly appreciate it. So when Bill Clinton came over and he signed into law NAFTA, all of a sudden you saw all these factory buildings from all across our country shutting down because all of the manufacturing jobs were going to China. Now, if you're getting rid of manufacturing jobs, I mean, who is that hurting? Are the manufacturing jobs being lost hurting the wealthy? No, they're hurting the middle class. The middle class jobs that like my grandparents did when they came to this country. I'm second generation American, but when my grandparents came to this country, they worked in factories. They worked in those places and they made good family wages and they were able to support their families. That was taken away when Bill Clinton signed NAFTA. So, hey, Ramia, welcome to the show. So when you look at Bill Clinton signing NAFTA and sending literally millions of jobs overseas to China, to India, because let's face it, these companies could get their products for less money over there and they could profit more. And most companies will do that. I've worked for companies my whole life. And if you can make 60% on a product made in China, as opposed to 25% on a product made in the United States because of labor laws, you're probably going to do that. And I mean, that's what capitalists have done. And that has been fault of the American government for shutting down manufacturing in this country. Okay. So take that a step further now. So when all of these people who lost their manufacturing jobs, all these middle class Americans, people without, college degrees, who are trying to make ends meet and put food on the table, what were their options? Are you going to go out and get an office job? Probably not. Do you have the capital to start a business? Probably most times not. So a lot of times these inner city people that live in big cities, that are people of color, they have been forced into the public system where they have to get welfare, they have to get Section 8, they have to get food stamps, and they have to go on public assistance. And this isn't something that anybody wants to do. This is something that is done when people are backed into a corner and they have no other way to make money to feed their children and to support their family. So this has been something that has been systematically done where NAFTA eliminated American jobs. Then the people who worked those jobs, the middle class and the lower middle class, were forced into getting public assistance, and they have been hooked on public assistance for many, many years. Now, when I say hooked, I don't blame the people. If you are listening to my show and you're in public assistance, I do not blame you. You've been sold a bill of goods. You've been sold that your company, that your country cares about you, when in fact they don't care about you. They are enslaving you. They are keeping you down. They are keeping you out. They are preventing you from working. And why would they want to do that, right? Well, I mean, why would the government want to prevent me from working? Why would they want to keep me down and out? Why do they want me living in an inner city on government money? Because if you are on government money, and you want to feed your family and you want to keep your government money, then you vote Democrat. You vote Democrat. That is how they create their voter base. They create their voter base by painting you into a corner and forcing you to vote left or you lose your benefits. The Republicans will take your benefits away, right? That's what they tell you. But what happens is when you're staying home and you're on welfare, you've lost your manufacturing job because Bill Clinton sent them overseas, and now you're home and you're on welfare and you're on Section 8 and you're doing the best you can do to help your family. If you get a job, they take your benefits away from you, right? So you could get a job working at McDonald's or Burger King, but then they take your benefits away from you. So you may end up making less money working than you do sitting home and collecting welfare. And any good parent is going to take care of their children the best they can. And if that means sitting home and collecting welfare, I would do the same thing if it meant putting food on the table for my family. But you're being sold a bill of goods and being led to believe that the government cares about you, that the Democrats care about you. They don't. Nancy Pelosi is throwing rich dinner parties. Obama's having his 60th birthday party in his multi-million-dollar home on Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. AOC is going to that $30,000 a plate dinner with her, tax the rich dress on, as you guys probably see. If you think these people truly care about the poor people in this country, they don't. Now, when you had Donald Trump in, now again, I know there are people here that hate Trump, so don't run and leave because I'm talking Trump. All right, don't run and leave if you disagree with me. If you disagree with me, put it in the chat. I'm down with it. It's okay. You and I don't have to agree on everything, but one thing I would like to see in this country is I'd like to see all of us be able to get along. I'm a white guy from Suburbanville. I want to get along with, African American people. I want to get along with women. I want to get along with people from India, from the Middle East. I don't think we should be fighting as a country and as a world. We need to all come together and work together. And if we do that, we can beat this tyrannical government. And I think in some cases, it's turning into a tyrannical world government. We can beat this government if we stick together and we work together, right? So let's all talk about this. Now, think about Donald Trump. I know a lot of you don't like him. All right. I get it. I didn't really like him. I mean, he made comments about women. I'll grab her by the pussy. It was a disgusting comment. He made gestures about people who had special needs. My oldest son has autism. You don't think that bothered me? Of course it did. But I have never seen a worldwide attempt to discredit one person like we've seen with Donald Trump. Now, is he a good guy? Probably not. He's probably a douche, right? He's not a good guy. But the bottom line is he was bringing jobs back from other countries. He was bringing American jobs back for the middle class so they could get off of welfare and they could work. Now, being on welfare, you're making money, you're paying for your family. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the government that's left you behind, and they want you to vote Democrat, so they give you their benefits, and they're basically bribing you. But when you're on welfare, what happens? You're home, you don't work, and it affects your self-esteem. It affects your confidence. You don't believe in yourself. You don't think you deserve better. You don't think your family deserves better. And you literally lose the confidence to go out and live a productive life. You lose the confidence about leaving that house and getting a job. You lose the confidence that you can do better than that. And how does that affect your family? Now, if all of a sudden, if you are this man or this woman and you're forced to stay home, if you're home all day, you're barely making ends meet, you don't have a job, you probably start drinking, you probably start doing drugs, you probably start doing other things. Maybe you sell little drugs on the side to make some cash. And that affects you, it affects your family, it affects your self-esteem. But what you don't think about is it also affects your children. One of the reasons why I'm a hard worker and my wife's a hard worker has to do, I guess, luckily, we were lucky at being immigrants at the right time. I mean, my grandparents came over from Italy and Ireland and different places, and my grandparents worked their asses off. They worked in plastics factories. They worked in hat factories. My grandfather worked in a carriage factory, horses and buggies. They made like the carriages. And, my father would come home with burns on his body. My grandparents, burns on their body. They never made a lot of money, didn't have much, but they worked hard. My father saw his parents work hard. I saw my father work hard. So for me, I work hard. And even now, I'm at a point in my life where I'm older and I'm financially comfortable. I still work hard. It doesn't go away. That's been ingrained in me since I was a little kid. The Democrats, when they give you welfare and they give you food stamps and they give you these freebies, so-called, to control you, you're not developing that self-esteem. You're losing it. And your children are seeing you stay home. They're seeing you live off the system, and literally living off the system becomes an art form where people learn to play the system and get as much as they can out of the system. But it's affecting your self-esteem, your family's self-esteem, your children's self-esteem, your grandchildren's self-esteem, and living on welfare and these type of things becomes a way of life because you've had no choice. You've had no choice. So this is how the Democrats say they care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care. They care about being in control. Now, to take it a step further, and I appreciate everybody that's in here. Thank you so much for coming in. If you're new, please follow me. Please follow my show. Please share my live feed. That helps get me engagement points, and that gives me a higher level as far as a broadcaster here on Podbean. So if you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, let's look at the situation on the southern border, okay? And I'm looking at the pictures of the people that are in my show right now, and I see I've got like a multicultural audience, which I love. So welcome to all my brothers out there, regardless of what your color is, regardless of what your background is. We're all brothers. You know, I believe in love for all of us, and I believe that if we all come together, we can make this country better and this world better. So brothers, sisters, thank you for coming in, all of you, regardless of your color, regardless of your background, regardless of where you're from in this world. We're all in this together. Now, let's look what's happening on the southern border here in this country right now. So we've got a lot of illegal immigrants coming into the country, okay? And I get it. These illegal immigrants want a better life. My grandparents wanted a better life. So they're not bad people in general that are coming into this country. In general, you have good people that are coming into this country that are looking for a better life for their families, for their children. They want to come to America. They believe in the American dream. And there is nothing wrong with that. Now, as we talk about this, maybe our country needs to come up with a better system for allowing people to become legal a lot quicker, right? In this country, there's a long process. You could be illegal in this country for 10 years, 15 years, and it's just an ongoing process. Why not vet people right away and get them in? Like back in the old days, my grandparents came in through Ellis Island in New York, and they were giving citizenship pretty quickly. Nowadays, you're being forced to kind of, skip across the border. You get into the country, you're illegal, and God knows if you'll ever become a legal citizen in this country. So that's a problem. But if you look at what's happening right now on the southern border, right now in Texas, I don't know if you've seen it. If not, Google it on the news. Actually, maybe I can find this news story. I have to get off the page again and go over and look. Let me find this. But if you look right now, there's a bridge in Texas, and I've got like 5 different news pages open. I'll probably find this on Fox instead of CNN. I've got CNN open as well. But right now in Texas, there are anywhere between 10 and 15,000 illegal immigrants living under a bridge in Texas. Now imagine that 10 to 15,000 people are living under a bridge in Texas with nowhere to go. Men, women, children, they've all stormed the border. We've had hundreds of thousands of people coming over the border into this country to escape, wherever they're living, to come into America to have a better life. But again, when you look at our country and how it's being run right now, you've got Joe Biden telling the American people his patients are wearing thin. We all need to get vaccinated. And I understand people are afraid of COVID, but I still believe, like they say with abortion, my body, my choice, right? The vaccination should also be my body, my choice. So, Biden's telling us we have to be vaccinated. Our kids are being forced to wear masks in school again. But we've got 10 to 15,000 people living under a bridge in Texas. None of them are wearing masks, and Biden is not making them get the COVID vaccine. So, who knows how many of these people have COVID, the Delta variant coming into this country? And we talk about super spreaders. This right here is a super spreader where they could be bringing COVID into our country and we don't know anything about it. Now, in this group of 10 to 15,000 people, I'm sure that probably 95% of these people are good people that want better lives from their families. But don't think for a second this isn't an opportunity also for drug dealers, for criminals, for pedophiles, for people that do not have the best interests of this country in mind. They want to escape where they're living and they want to bring their crimes to the United States of America, right? There's no doubt that that is part of what's going on. So we need to make sure that we are properly vetting the people that are coming into this country and making sure that the people we're letting into this country are good people that want a better life and not criminals, right? Because we don't know. If we don't vet them, we don't know. So for Biden, I will never forget, and I'm sure all of you remember this, back when Trump was president, you had AOC going down to the border in her white outfit, crying up against the fence because Donald Trump had people living together in these housing units that they had on the border. And it wasn't even 1/100th of what they have right now. But right now, in these housing units, they had pictures a couple of months ago that showed men, women, and children laying in these housing units, elbow to elbow on the floor, no beds, and you got children who are being sex trafficked as they cross the border. I mean, what's going on right now in this country in the southern border is a national tragedy. But why is it happening? Why is it happening? I ask all you, why is this happening? There is a particular reason why it's happening. It's not because Joe Biden and the Democrats care about these people. Do you think they give a damn about these people that are coming in? Just like do you think they give a damn about the people they're giving welfare to? They don't care. They are increasing their voter base. They are bringing people in from over the border. They are now illegal immigrants. They can come in, they can get their papers. Some of them will eventually become U.S. citizens. And who are they going to vote for? They're not going to have educations. They're not going to have good jobs. They're going to have to go in the public system and get welfare, and they will vote Democrat. They are creating their voter base by letting illegals in through the southern border. And I know that the people coming in through the southern border don't give a damn why they're being let in. They want a better life. But, if you're really looking at this, that's why it's happening. That is the truth of why it's happening. And one of the reasons why it needs to be managed is, number one, we don't have the money to afford all these people coming in, but we don't know who's coming into our country. You could have the next terrorist sneaking in from the Middle East through the Mexican border, who's going to bomb the World Trade Centers or the Empire State Building or God knows what next time, like happened on September 11th. So we need to know who's coming into this country, and we just don't know right now. And Joe Biden is not doing his job in doing so. So it's scary. It's scary what's going on. He's lecturing us, and he is telling us that you know that he cares about the American people. He cares about what's going on, and he just does not. So this is another thing that you're being sold. You're being sold a bill of goods that the people care about the people coming in over the border, and they just don't. They just don't care. It's about getting numbers. So when you think about Trump, when Trump was president, I've never seen a time in U.S. history where the mainstream media and everybody was against this man. And again, was he an asshole? Absolutely he was, but he did a lot of good things for this country. And I do firmly believe that there was cheating in the election. Hopefully the Arizona audit that comes out very shortly is going to prove that. And if it doesn't, then it's all garbage and it wasn't true. But I've never seen the government try to block something like they're blocking the results of this ballot or this audit. Hey, crazy lady, welcome to the show, and welcome to everybody else coming in. I greatly appreciate everybody in my live today. It's been a really good show so far. I've been on for about 41 minutes. We've been talking about a little bit about politics, about Biden, about Pelosi ripping capitalism. We talked about Gabby Petito, who is missing still and has not been found by her family. And we just have a lot of things going on right now in this country. So, I appreciate each and every one of you guys that have come into the show tonight. And I hope you guys are hearing what I'm saying. And I hope that, I'm hitting the mark on some of the things. But this is just, these are all my opinions. These are how I see things. And to me, it just really stacks up to that we are just in trouble right now in this country. And we are in trouble right now in this world. I mean, are you all seeing some of the things that are happening in Australia right now? I don't know if we have anybody from overseas in here right now. I think by looking at some of the people in, I may. But if you look at what's happening in Australia right now, I mean, in Australia, they're not that different than the US. And in Australia, people cannot leave their homes. They are literally banished to their homes right now because of COVID-19. And there was a video on TikTok I saw a couple of weeks ago where a woman left her home. You can't go more than 5 kilometers away from your house. That's 3.1 miles to Americans. So that's not a very far distance. You can't go more than 5 kilometers away from your home. And there was a video of a woman on TikTok. She was in her car and she went over that 5 kilometer distance, and she had a dash cam in her car. When she went over that 5 kilometer distance, she was immediately pulled over by the police. This police officer had followed her from her house to see where she was going and measured the distance that she was traveling. So she got pulled over. She was speaking to the cam on her dash, and you basically saw the police officer come right up to the window. She asked him, why am I being pulled over? He said to her point blank, you are more than 5 kilometers away from your house. Please step out of the car. So she stepped out of the car. He put the cuffs on her and he arrested her. So in Australia and in other parts of the world, we are seeing freedoms taken away like we've never seen before. And if you don't think that this is coming to the United States, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. I mean, we're seeing our freedoms taken away day by day. The Second Amendment taking away our gun rights. Companies like Facebook and Twitter taking away our freedom of speech rights. Now, did you see also that the government is thinking of issuing penalties and fines for people who use the phrase "fuck Joe Biden." That's become a very popular phrase. They've been chanting it at football games. It's been used all over. People are holding up signs when Biden goes by. So the government is looking at possibly limiting the free speech of America and fining people for using that language. I'm sorry, but we do have freedom of speech in this country. You can come out and say stupid things. That's one of the things of being American. You are going to be held accountable for it. If you go in and you say things in your job, you might get fired. You have the freedom of saying it. But again, you can't be taking away our freedom of speech. You can't be taking away our Second Amendment rights. And that's what we're seeing right now in this country. And, I'll tell you, Vinny, I see your comment down there, and I agree. Now, for me, I'm not a guy that has strong feelings about abortion either way. I mean, I grew up as a Catholic, and I don't agree, I guess, with the basic premise of taking anyone's life. So when I see that a woman is forced into a situation where she has to decide and she has to take a baby's life, I don't agree with taking a life. I don't agree with ending the life of a baby. But that being said, I also think women need to have the right as to what they want to do with their body. I mean, if you are raped and you become pregnant, should you have to deliver the baby of someone who raped you? If your health is at risk and you could potentially die for having a baby, should you be forced to have that baby if your life is at risk and you could potentially lose your life? I mean, for me, I wouldn't have a reasonable ban on abortions after a certain time frame. Like, I mean, if you're 6 or 7 months pregnant, in my opinion, at that point, the ship has sailed and you shouldn't be having an abortion. But I think in the early stages of being pregnant, I think that it should be legal. But you are right. In the state of Texas, they did vote to take away a woman's right to have an abortion. And what's going to happen is you're going to have women that go into other states. They're going to go to other places to have those abortions, and it's not going to stop it. But yeah, it's one of those things where we're seeing rights being taken away, and those rights were taken away by Republicans, not Democrats. So if I'm going to be honest and fair, one of the things I always complain about is that you got CNN who's left, Fox News is right. I'm really trying to make an effort to be honest and talk in the middle and not be partisan when I do my shows, where I speak honesty to the best of my ability. So if I'm going to be honest in that situation, that's not the Democrats taking the right to choose away. That is the Republicans that's taken the right away. And they do it because they have deep fundamental beliefs religiously that ending a life is incorrect and it's wrong. So that is why that happens. But one of the things you see in the Republican Party that's a double standard, they don't feel that women should have abortions, but they do believe in the death penalty. So they don't believe that you should take a life, but I guess they do feel you can take a life if someone's a murderer and they're on death row. So I'm not even going to really get in the middle of trying to debate all those type of things. But we have a lot of things in this country that just don't add up. They just don't add up, and it's just sad. So, I'm hoping that things get better. I mean, I'm hoping the things we are seeing in Australia do not come to the United States. But, I don't know what's going to happen going forward. I mean, we're certainly going to be in for a supercharged election here in 2022. Will the Republicans take over Congress? I think you have a lot of people in this country that do not like our current president. But if they cheated in the last election, and I don't know if they did or not, but if they were able to and they pulled it off, they're going to be able to cheat again. So who knows if we'll actually get real results in this next election? And if we do, it would be, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, who knows? Now, I want to get away from politics for a second and just talk about this story a little bit. I'm reading through the news, and this was something that happened 9 hours ago. So this was happening while I was sleeping on the East Coast. So I don't know if we have any California people in here, but apparently Los Angeles was rocked by a 4.3 magnitude earthquake days after smaller quakes. So for me, East Coast, we do live on a fault line here in the Boston area. We have occasional very small earthquakes. They're like 2.0 on the Richter scale and smaller. You don't even feel them unless you're like right on top of it. But 4.3, from what I can tell, is a pretty good sized earthquake. So this story here says a preliminary 4.3 magnitude earthquake rocked Los Angeles on Friday evening, excuse me. The quake was centered in Carson, south of downtown, but was felt across Los Angeles County as far north as Victorville and as far south as the U.S.-Mexico border. That's a pretty good distance. I've driven from L.A. to Mexico before, and that's a pretty good distance. Wow. So, and they said that was according to the U.S. Geological Survey site, Did You Feel It? So, scrolling down, the 8 p.m. Pacific time earthquake, so that was 11 o'clock here on the East Coast, had a depth of 9 miles and followed 2 other smaller tremblers within the last week and a half. So you have to wonder if they're in store for a bigger earthquake. That's kind of scary. So it says here that LA usually has 5 earthquakes of 4 to 5 every year. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that. I love California. I love the weather. It's got like the perfect weather anywhere in the world, like 75. It's sunny almost every day of the year, maybe 80, but just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weather. But I could not live in a place that has regular earthquakes that big. So it says here in the article, the size happens on average somewhere in Southern California every couple of months. Seismologist Lucy Jones told KCBS TV, according to the Los Angeles Times, when it happens to be in the middle of the Los Angeles basin, then a lot more people feel it. It becomes bigger news. So while some people on social media have reported a fire or an explosion in a refinery in Carson, along with photos of flames shooting up, LA Sheriff's Department in Carson said on Twitter it was a controlled flaring event, and it's happening to the plant to burn off excess gases and things like that. But it looks like, from looking at this report, there was not a ton of damage, which is a good thing. But is there anybody in here that lives in a place where you have a lot of earthquakes? Hey, Doss, Greg, rounding third, welcome to the show. Tuttles, welcome to the show. I just came back in from reading that news story. But, man, earthquakes. Now, Doss, we don't get that many here in New England. I know you're in Vermont. Rounding third, if I remember right, you're in New England as well. And we do get the occasional small earthquake, but LA had a 4.3 earthquake last night. And all I can say is I'd love LA, but there's no way in hell I could live in a place that has that type of earthquake. So let's see. I see Sally. Hey, I've been trying to message for a while. Sorry if I've been missing it. Still trying to suss things out. I sat here listening from England. Hey, welcome from England, Sally. So cool that you're here. One of my favorite TV shows is from England. I've got a few that I really like. I like Marcella and Broadchurch. I don't know if you watch those shows in the UK, but Marcella is one of my favorites. We watch that. My wife and I have seen that on Netflix, and we absolutely love that show, and we're anxiously waiting for the next season of Marcella to come out. So if you're in the UK, hopefully you're a fan of that show. But yeah, that's true, Doss. In the East Coast, man, if you guys are in different parts of the world, we have those nor'easters, as we call them here. And these are basically hurricanes that come up the coast in the wintertime and just bury New England. Like if you look at a map, New England kind of sticks out in the ocean a little bit. And you got these nor'easter storms, these winter hurricanes that come up the coast. And when we get into one of those weather patterns, they just one or the other. That's right. You and Snow Pro high school together. That's right. I'm sorry. So you guys are both Vermont people. So we got to get together and meet up, man. I know that, excuse me, Maine people, not Vermont people. Doss is Vermont. You're in Maine. We got to get together, all of our New England people, and just get together and have a few beers at some point. But up here in New England, we get these nor'easters that come up the coast and just batter the coast. We had one winter where we had like literally 10 feet of snow in the end of January through February. My kids were sledding off the roof of the house. I'll bring gummies. Dude. I'm a gummy guy more than anything else. I don't need blow. Have you heard me talk? I go 150 miles an hour nonstop, so I don't need that shit. That's exactly what happens, crazy lady. We get hammered. And, some winters, we don't get that jet stream coming up the coast, but then there are others, dude. Holy shit. Oh, dude, rounding third. There's a funny story for you. The best strippers I've ever seen were in the state of Maine. And let me tell the story before I end the show. You brought it up, so I'm going to go there. One of my buddies had a bachelor party when he was getting married years ago. And one of my friends, who's an absolute deviant, scheduled the bachelor party for up in Maine. We rented a house in Rangeley. I'm sure you guys know where Rangeley is. I go up every summer. So we rented a place in Rangeley, and my friend hired these strippers to come to the house that we were at. So we had like 15 guys, and we had these 2 strippers that showed up with, I guess, their pimp. I don't know what the hell he was, but he drove a powder blue Lincoln. And he pulled in. The guy had a gun strapped to his waist. So he came packing heat, dude, into this house. So you've got these 2 strippers that start doing their act. And next thing you know, these 2 strippers are on the floor doing more of an act than any of us anticipated. So they were kind of going at it on the floor. And I never forget this this pimp, I guess. We called him the Carnival Master. That was the nickname we made up for him. Every 2 seconds, he would just keep saying over and over again, boys, don't forget, these girls are working awfully hard for you, and they love dead presidents. That's right, guys. These ladies are working hard. Make sure you're sharing your dead presidents with them. And he kept saying it over and over and over again. So that was a bachelor party we went to, and it was funny. The groom at the time, I was the best man in this wedding. So the groom, they made him get down on the floor, okay? and they literally asked me to get down on the floor. So I get down on the floor. I'm laying down next to the groom. Next thing I know, they ripped the groom's pants off and they put like this little strap around his penis. And I'm laying down next to him. I'm like, fuck this. I got up and went and sat down, and they look at me and they're like, hey, you're the best man. Come back. I'm like, fuck no, I'm not going down there. You're not taking my pants off. So we sat there and we watched as these two strippers had this strap around my friend's wiener and they were spanking them and all this type of stuff. So it was just crazy. But then I always think of the carnival master. Don't forget, gentlemen, these ladies are working awfully hard for you. Oh, and they love dead presidents. No doubt, Doss. I went from my normal 3 inches down to 1 inch at that point. So I didn't want my tiny penis to be shown to all my friends at that point. So I got up and got out of there in a hurry. But it was funny now. After that whole thing happened, we ended up, they ended up leaving. The girls left. The carnival master and his powder blue Lincoln left. So a bunch of the guys decided to go to the local bar in Rangeley. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's not there anymore. Now it's a bowling alley. But I stayed back. I didn't go. But apparently they went to this bar and they pull into the bar and there's the powder blue Lincoln in the parking lot. So they go in and the strippers were apparently hanging out and drinking beer with the carnival master in this bar. So my friends ended up hanging out with them all night. And it was just, I don't know, just one of those stories that you've heard over and over and over again. So when I think of strippers and I think of Maine, I think about our experience up in Rangeley. I was the best man. Yes, I was. I was the best man in that wedding. And this is the guy, actually, I probably shouldn't say this on the radio in case it gets back. It probably doesn't because I have a little small podcast here. But this is the guy who's the morning drive sports guy out in Denver. So I've known him since preschool. We've been buddies forever. And I was the best man. So they put me down there and I was about to get my pants ripped off. And at that point, I'm like, hell no. I got the hell out of there in a hurry and went and joined the rest of the guys sitting in the crowd. I know, right? I was responsible for setting up the house. I did the house and did all this other stuff. But you have to trust me when I tell you, the guy that set up the strippers, he is just a deviant of all forms. I won't mention his name, but when it came to the bachelor party, we know we had to go to him to set up the bachelor party. And it was just crazy. We went to another one that he had set up for another friend of ours, and he owned like a trucking company. So we had his big warehouse in New Hampshire, and we got to go into his like giant warehouse, and he had this friggin' this group of strippers that came in. And it was just crazy. I remember one of the strippers got on top of one of the guys in his chair and was like giving him a lap dance, and they broke the chair and the guy ended up on the ground. We had guys in there with Harleys like lighting up the tires in the warehouse. I mean, it was just the craziest drop dead bachelor party I've ever been to. So whenever there was a bachelor party, if anybody needs one, I'll reach out to my friend and get him to set it up for you. He is an absolute badass when it comes to creating things like that. But man, he knows how to set up. Yeah, you're right, rounding third. Just another Saturday night in Rangeley, right? Who knows what happens up in the woods of Rangeley, right? What happens in Rangeley stays in Rangeley. But yeah, I mean, and for those of you not from Maine, Rangeley, I live in Massachusetts. Rangeley's 5 hours north, up in the middle of nowhere. It is literally God's country. Two beautiful lakes up there, Rangeley Lake and Lake Moose Lake Maguntic. And we've been going up there for 25 years. Guys' weekend, just hanging out. My buddy had a house up there. Just God's country. You see moose every time you go up. There's that beautiful area to view. What's it called? The Height of Land, I think it is. That beautiful view of Moose Lake Maguntic Lake from up above. Just a gorgeous area. So you wouldn't suspect that these type of things are happening up there in God's country, but because of my friends and I, they are. So let's see. No, John's wife is hanging over his shoulder right now, so of course he's being careful. She is not, and it's funny. I'm one of the few men that my wife knows everything. I will tell her everything about my life. She knows when I go up there and there's a bachelor party, I'd tell her. If I went to a strip club, I would tell her. I honestly don't go to those very often because, quite frankly, I think a strip club is kind of pathetic. You're in there like paying a woman. Here's $1. Can I see your boobs? Here's $1. Can I take a look? I just feel like a degenerate anytime I've been to a strip club, so I try to avoid those. So crazy lady saying, fuck moose. You've had a bad experience. I think I'd like to hear more about that. We've never hit a moose. I've seen a moose get hit by a car before. And if you haven't seen a moose in person, moose, especially male moose, are fucking huge. They're much bigger than horses. I mean, they are gigantic. And one of those, when one of those comes out of the woods, you stop your car generally because they will charge you. And what happens a lot of times, even if you stop your car, they will still charge you. And if you go head to head with a moose, trust me, in one way whatsoever, you are going to lose. So, on your motorcycle, holy shit. So you hit a moose on your motorcycle going 60. Wow, that is absolutely crazy. Thank God you're alive. for that. So, hey, listen, everybody, I've had a phenomenal show this morning. I've had a full group of chat people. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. I didn't do a show yesterday, so I wanted to get on and do one this morning. I have to leave and go pick my boys up at baseball, and I've got about a half an hour ride. So for everybody that came in, I hope you enjoyed the show today. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about, Biden's America. We talked about the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates. We talked about Gabby Petito still missing. We talked about the LA earthquake that happened last night. And we talked about the potential of, what's going on in this world and how we're losing our freedom. So hopefully, as a group of people in here, we can all learn to work together. We can all learn to come together, whatever you make financially, whatever color your skin is, whatever your ethnic background is, whatever your political beliefs are, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, you're all welcome in my show, and you're all welcome to express your feelings. Tell me how you feel. If you agree with me, cool. If you don't, that's okay too, because I think in this country, we need to learn how to communicate again without hating each other, even if we have differences. Hopefully we can come together. Dude, rounding third, I would love to. I mentioned that to Snow Pro this year. I went up to Maine twice, but I only live, not that far from Maine. So I would love to get together with you guys, have a beer, and just chill out someday. That would be cool. So let's make sure we make it happen. I do have Snow Pro's cell phone number, and we got to arrange that so we get together at some point, just have a beer and meet up in person. That'd be pretty fun. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to get the music going. We're going to let this bad boy go. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I might be on again tomorrow morning. We'll see if I get up and feel like it tomorrow. All right, everybody, take care and have a wonderful Saturday. Love you all, and thank you for coming into my show. I really appreciate it. And remember, if it's your first time here, please follow my show. Please share my live, and please come back again. All right, take care, everybody. Have a wonderful Saturday. Thank you, Vinny. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let me be an infant now and play some stupid noises. I'm a child, so bear with me. Oh, yeah, there we go. The coffee's kicking in. Oh, yes. Much better. This is my favorite, the baby laugh.